Hey guys, this is Steve the Scout. Welcome to the first episode ever of the Pro Football Scouting Podcast. I am excited to bring this show to you because it brings to life something I am passionate about. I have a passion for evaluating future NFL talent, specifically guys that are entering the draft, and making bold predictions on what their NFL careers are going to look like. Since 2011, I've watched the entire scouting combine every year, and I've watched as much game film as possible on a lot of different players, and I've successfully predicted which guys, for the most part, were going to be home run picks, which ones were going to be busts, which ones were going to be draft steals. So, it's something that I've always done as a hobby, but I just decided, it's something that, for me, I am just so passionate about that it's something that I want to broadcast to everyone else. So, what I'm going to focus on today is going to be this year's quarterback class. So there are a number of quarterbacks that people are talking about that can be drafted in the first few rounds. There's a few guys that people are expecting to go in the first round. What I'm going to do today is, like I said, I'm going to give you a bold and accurate prediction on what these guys are going to look like at the next level, and also tell you which one I think is going to be the best pro. So there are 6 quarterbacks I'm going to evaluate and give my prediction on. The first one is a name that is talked about quite a bit after he had a pretty good NFL scouting combine, and that is Josh Allen, the quarterback from Wyoming. All right, guys. So talking about Josh Allen from Wyoming, I have watched a lot of tape on this guy. I've gone back a few times and I've watched tape because I was wondering, what was I wrong? And let me just tell you what I initially saw. I initially saw a guy that had some accuracy issues, didn't really have terrific anticipation, but just had a rocket of an arm. A guy that can throw a fastball pretty hard. After going back and, watching as much Josh Allen tape as possible, and even taking into account what guys like Mike Mayock and, Daniel Jeremiah are saying, I still don't believe that this guy is going to be a great quarterback at the next level. And it's for 2 reasons. I don't believe that he has good enough accuracy or good enough anticipation. His arm strength is incredible. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And he's going to get drafted probably early in the first round because of that arm strength. But I'm telling you, I think it's a mistake. I'm not saying that, for sure he'll be a bust, but I think that people are getting off on his arm strength. And to be honest, the other things that I talked about, accuracy and anticipation, I don't really see him being that great, and they're also not things that can be coached at the next level. So, for me, when I look at Josh Allen, he's not someone I would take with a first round pick. I probably wouldn't even take him until the third round. He has a cannon for an arm. There's no doubt about it. But look, so did Colin Kaepernick, so did Jay Cutler. I'm not saying those guys were terrible quarterbacks, but it just goes to show you that arm strength is not everything. So that is my evaluation on Josh Allen. All right, guys, the next quarterback that I'm going to evaluate is going to be Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is a USC quarterback, and if you know anything about USC quarterbacks, for the most part, they have not panned out at the next level. The only one that really has that we can think of is Carson Palmer. I don't think that's necessarily the most fair way to evaluate a quarterback prospect because they're all different people. However, I actually really like Sam Darnold as an NFL pro quarterback. The things that I really like the most about him is, number one, his first and foremost, this guy scans the field and can process things really quickly. I mean, it's very, very impressive. When I look at, comparing him to these other quarterbacks, he might be the guy that's fastest at scanning the field and processing what's going on. He also has, in my opinion, Pro Bowl level anticipation. There have been some questions on his accuracy. I see it a little bit, but to be honest, I've watched enough game film that I'm really not too concerned about his accuracy. So for me, I like, so much about Darnold. Again, the guy can extend plays. He can improvise. When I make an NFL comparison, he reminds me of, in terms of traits and how he plays the game, it's a mix of Andrew Luck and Tony Romo. Not to say he's going to be as good as those guys, but I see it as a mix talent-wise in terms of, characteristics and, what he brings to the table. He's not a lock to be a great player. He still has some things in his game that he has to clean up, but I would say probably more than likely he should have a good career as an NFL quarterback. So I do like Sam Darnold. I do think he's good enough to go in the first round. Again, if it's not a home run pick, there is a risk involved, and that is really how I would go about evaluating Sam Darnold. All right, so the next quarterback I'm going to talk about is a quarterback that some of you may have not even heard of, or at least a lot of people are not seeing in the draft headlines, as much as some other quarterbacks. And that is Luke Falk, the quarterback from Washington State. He's a guy that, there's not that much that jumps out at you that says, wow, this guy is super impressive. However, when I look at his game tape, he looks really good and really smooth from the pocket. He's definitely an accurate thrower of the football. I don't know if he has the greatest arm strength in the world. I do believe that arm strength is overrated. But when I look at Luke Falk, I look at a guy that, has an NFL quarterback type game to him. Moves around great in the pocket. Has good anticipation, has good accuracy. There's definitely, things to like about him. There's just nothing that really stands out at you. The guy, I can see him read defenses pretty well. So, this is someone that, will probably go, I don't know, maybe the third or fourth round, but could still actually end up being, a serviceable, or even better than a serviceable NFL quarterback. So there are things to like about him. Of course, he's not a home run pick. I mean, this guy is going to probably go later in the draft. But, I do think that there is some good things to like about him. And if it was me, I would be comfortable taking him in the second or third round. And, hopefully he can maybe compete for a starting job in a few years. So that is my evaluation on Luke Falk, the quarterback from Washington State. All right. So some people have referred to him as Michael Vick 2.0 because of his just blazing speed and the way he really plays the game. And that is quarterback Lamar Jackson from Louisville. I will say that when I first watched the tape on him, I thought this guy was going to be great. The more tape I've watched, the more I've come to realize, I definitely see that there are some accuracy issues. I think his accuracy issues mainly stem from playing with such a narrow base. Now, that is something that he's trying to work on and fix, and I believe you can to a certain extent. I think, honestly, I mean, the accuracy, it's just really hard for me to say that a guy is going to be a good NFL quarterback if they're having accuracy issues. That, to me, is kind of like, a deal breaker. So, I'm going to say that his accuracy can potentially change if he learns to not play with such a narrow base. I think that can get better. But, that makes it really tough for me to evaluate him. The guy definitely has a very strong arm. I mean, he is blazing fast. I mean, I don't know if he's as fast as Michael Vick, but he's pretty close, I'll say. So, I see him as someone that, you could definitely take a chance on maybe in the, third or fourth round, but I wouldn't take him sooner than that. And that is my breakdown of Lamar Jackson, quarterback from Louisville. All right, guys.